I don't know if I'm live. Can you see me? Help me. All right. Sorry I'm so late. I am so late. I am just in software limbo over here. I could not find what I was doing. Had to wake up a sleeping teenager. Sorry, I'm late. I'm late. I can't say that will never happen again. I've now decided I'm never streaming live again. It was so stressful. All right. Hi. Good morning. If you're here watching live or on a replay, I am committed. So, or I should be committed after what I just went through to try to get live here on YouTube. Welcome to Tuesday Q&A. I'm Alison Ellis, as always, here in various states of readiness to talk about what's going on in real life, in real businesses. And there was a super good question that came through yesterday in my Facebook group that I just want to address today. I think it is the topic of the day. What do you do if you mess up? So it's a really valid thing. It's hard for us to handle as business owners, floral designers, people who are dealing with once in a lifetime events, right? Particularly around weddings. As I always say, there are no do-overs, so we have to do it right. And we are also human, and sometimes things happen. So in this particular question, this particular floral designer, who, by the way, I want to give major snaps to for posting her brave question, not anonymously, just showing up as a real person saying, hey, this real thing happened to me. And this floral designer went to the wedding and forgot the bridal bouquet in the cooler. Now, this is where it's really easy to judge or jump in with oh, well, I have a checklist. Guess what, my friends? If you've never forgotten something before, good for you. But there's no guarantees in life. We can have a checklist. We can have so many guardrails for ourselves. But mistakes happen sometimes. And that is an unfortunate part of life. Not just your business, but anything in life, right? So while there could be you could be quick to judge and go, how could you forget something so important? We don't know what was going on that day. And I chimed in to say, I remember a very long time ago, I'm probably 20 years ago, I remember forgetting boutonnieres, and I can still feel the death inside that I felt when I was standing at the church and the boutonnieres weren't there. And I had a checklist. And I said, hey, get those boutonnieres. And guess what? Somebody didn't get the boutonnieres. So I did all the things I was supposed to do, and they still got forgotten. So this is why we want to judge not before you judge yourself. So before jumping into something like that and saying, well, if you just had a checklist, the best laid plans, my friends, the best laid plans can still go awry last minute. So whatever the reason, the bouquet got left behind. You can imagine the horror that must have washed over this floral designer as she realizes such a thing. So what does she do? She rallies. She creates a new bouquet. Was it the exact perfect bouquet that was still in the cooler? No, right? But it was still very pretty. She did a good job. So that's what we do, right? We pull it together. We pull it together somehow. That's what we do. But how do you handle it after that? So this floral designer's question was basically, I screwed up. I forgot this bouquet. I did the best I could on site. I came home. I refunded for the bouquet, which is a very good thing to do, right? Hey, you paid for this, you ordered this. I'm admitting I screwed this thing up. Even though I'm coming through clutch and giving you something beautiful, refund because I didn't do what I promised. Okay? Super fair way to handle it. But then she was wondering, what more should I do? Should I go further? And so this is where, again, like my heart, I feel that, right? There's no making this right. But what we don't want to do is overcompensate for mistakes or even more, like bring more attention to a mistake that you've actually fixed, okay? So this floral designer was saying, it didn't quite have the sweet peas in the bouquet. It didn't have exactly everything that she wanted. Should I go further? Make another bouquet, make something for a photo shoot, right? This is where it is so kind of you to be thinking, how can I make this right? But we really need to forgive ourselves, which is hard to do because we are human, because things happen, because we can try our very best to get everything perfect and still fall short. We do need to forgive ourselves. So if you have reached out to the customer, if you apologized in person, which I'm sure you did, handed her something beautiful, given the refund, there's really not a reason to continue to pursue this customer, in my opinion. If they come back and they need to talk about this, it really ruined their day or there's something going on, then you need to have a conversation with them about this. But for most people, they're going to be able to see past a mistake like that and still appreciate that everything else was great and the day went perfectly. Now, there will be some people who hear me say that and go, yeah, right, not my customers. Everybody attracts a different type of customer, all right? But when we're dealing with people who have their priorities in the right place, meaning they understand that getting married today is the most important thing, not whether or not there was a sweet pea in their bouquet, which, by the way, we can never promise anyway. We never know that they're going to be perfect in the right color, even when they're in season. Seasons change. Sometimes the perfect sweet pea season is late, or it got really hot really early in the spring and those sweet peas came early. So even when we want to do our best to promise our client everything they want, we can never truly promise them they're going to have everything they want. So again, understanding the reality is there was a bouquet with sweet peas in it in a cooler. You did your best. And for the most part, the client is probably going to be able to get over that and recognize that the day was still fantastic, even with such a thing happening. If you really have a right-minded client, they'll be thankful that that's the only thing that went wrong, that you were able to fix it, and whew, right? If that's the worst that happens today, no big deal, that sort of thing. But we don't want to make our mistake worse by overcompensating, by, bringing it back up again multiple times, by checking in with them in another week or two, right? We want to make sure that we handle things promptly. We handle them with our full heart, really trying to make this client happy, and then also be able to let it go. There are, in 24 wedding seasons under my belt, very few times where I have genuinely messed up, right? Where I have done the wrong thing. But it's not zero. It's not 0 times. It does happen despite our best efforts. You miss a specific note about that shade of pink in the bouquet. You miss a small note about how they wanted the bouquet tied. You, like I said, tell somebody grab those boutonnieres, they don't, and you show up without them. So what do you do in those moments? How do you handle it? It is super duper hard, right? Somebody, like in the comments on this very kind person's post, who bravely showed up and said, I screwed up. What should I do now? You know, I was really happy to see how many people were very encouraging of like, you did what you could do. You did the right thing. Let it go to the best of your ability, you know, until this customer comes back. But the other recurring theme is like, oh my gosh, how did you pull that together? I would have been freaking out. And that is true. There are times when you've messed something up, even if you're just running out of time. Those hands are shaking, right? It is hard to arrange when you are so stressed like that. But it happens sometimes, and we got to push through. Take a deep breath, tell yourself you can do it, and push right on through. There will be times where you have screwed up. There will be times when there was simply a miscommunication. There will be times when you didn't screw up and the customer still has a problem. That happened to me once. One of my biggest horror stories. I did not mess up. I brought exactly what the customer ordered. But when a bridesmaid made a comment about how that Phalaenopsis orchid looks a little phallic, that's not what I ordered. It was exactly what she had ordered, right? So how do you handle those things? It's not easy. I'm not going to tell you that I was the most cool and calm and gracious when my customer was lying, saying she didn't order these flowers that she very clearly did. I have told this story before. The only reason I survived that day, and I mean it, the only reason I lived through that day is because when the bride said, that's not what I ordered, I happened to lock eyes with the mother of the bride and I said, this is exactly what she ordered. And she said, oh, I'm sure it is. That mom saved my life, right? Because when mom believed me, I was able to now proceed, okay? I have one person who knows I'm not a liar. All right, now what are we going to do to fix this? And we came up with a plan to the best of our ability of how we would fix it. And it's a story that I only tell live and in person. But we fixed it and moved on. But what I didn't do is then follow up to say, hey, sorry you didn't like those Phalaenopsis orchids because your bridesmaid, one of your 9 bridesmaids, told you it was phallic. By the way, not sure how you didn't realize that to begin with, but sorry that happened, you know? No, I'm not pursuing her to follow up on any of that. We let sleeping dogs lie, as they say, right? If she were to come back to me and say, you know, that's not what I ordered, which of course she couldn't because it is what she ordered and it's in the contract and the proposal. But it doesn't matter if on the wedding day there's a problem. So how we handle problems is so important. And it's something that hopefully we actually don't have a lot of practice with because we don't make a lot of mistakes. So if you don't make a lot of mistakes, this is going to hit you hard, right? It's going to hit you hard. How did I do this? How did this happen? New system, right? New system in place. But the most important thing is that in the moment, you do the best that you can. And afterwards, you can be a little bit hands off to just feel confident that you really did do as much as you could and you handled it with professionalism and integrity. So you're not stuck going like, oh, I've made this worse. Okay? We don't want to make it worse. We want to just make sure that we handle things. I truly, my heart goes so out to you for that moment when you realize the bouquet wasn't there. It must have been like soul crushing in the moment. And there must have been a moment of just like what am I going to do? But you figured it out quickly. You took action, you made a new bouquet. I don't know what the interaction was with the client, right? I don't know if it was like, hi, I made you a bouquet and I totally forgot it, but here's the backup. But, in every single scenario that we're in, we have choices. Some people might have chosen to just plain old freak out and wouldn't have known what to do. So be proud of yourself that you handled it. You gave the customer a bouquet. You went home. You refunded and took responsibility. Taking responsibility is sometimes more important than the refund itself. Taking ownership of this thing didn't go quite right is very big and not so easy to do. And there are a lot of people who would rather not take responsibility. So when we think, what more can I give them? Should I give them a bigger refund? Should I offer them a redo? Sometimes just taking that accountability and offering the best remedy you can in the moment is really all that they're looking for. So I do hope that is how this works out for the floral designer asked this question. Again, I really give you so much credit. You didn't show up as an anonymous question asker. You showed up and said, I did this. Help, what do you think? And I'm really also really proud of the community in my Facebook group who, didn't jump with like, oh, how could you do that? And we're like, you did the best you could. Because we are all human. We are not AI. Which also messes up, by the way, right? So nothing is perfect in this world, even the weddings that we try so hard to make perfect. So that's the most important question I feel that came through, and I really wanted to make sure that I addressed it today because I think it is so hard to rebound after we've had such a disappointing thing happen because we plan so hard, right? We planned so much. You made that bouquet days ago and it still didn't quite come together the way that you had planned. So forgetting things in the cooler, my worst nightmare. One thing that I have tried to do, because I just do events, I tend to unplug my cooler before I drive out of the driveway. So that is one way that I kind of help to double check everything. Everything's got to be out of that cooler, and then I can like unplug it and prop the doors open so it doesn't get like moldy in there. That's my little system. But like I said, I have had, being a one-woman show, it's easy to put like all the weight on yourself. But this time where I forgot the boutonnieres, I had help, asked for them to get the boutonnieres, and they simply did not. So there's only so much that we can do to make things come together. And when something slips through the cracks, that's when the pressure is on and you show up. But just make sure that you're not being harder on yourself than even your customer is being on you, okay? You tried hard, you did good work. Keep doing beautiful work. Don't be worried about the next wedding. Don't keep bringing it up every second, right? Sometimes we start to tell this story about, well, if I could just remember the bridal bouquet, it'll be good. Like something happened that was out of the norm that caused that bouquet to get left. I don't know the story, but I know that that's the case. I know that you have a system and something bucked that system and created this room for error. And you forgot one of the most important things of the day. But you recovered and you did the right thing by your customer to the best of your ability. So forgive yourself, move forward knowing that you're going to be never having that happen again. Okay? It's never going to happen again. And just for the people who maybe don't have a perfect checklist situation going on, this is why we do have a checklist, a physical checklist. I have my clipboard and it always has the itemized invoice. Again, this is why I itemize my invoices, because that invoice becomes my checklist. Bridal bouquet, check. Wedding bouquets for the wedding party, check. Boutonnieres, corsages, all the little pieces. Everything that has a line item gets checked. And I'm looking at it in my van and I am laying eyes on it. I'm not like, oh yeah, I've got that. Then you're adding other things to that list. That step stool that you need, the extra whatever, bind wire, zip ties, whatever the structures are that you're bringing. You have those additional pieces as well. But the most important thing is that you have some kind of a system. It's visual. It's checkable by yourself and other members of your team. And you can make sure that you have all the pieces when you are loading. So that's for anybody who doesn't have a great system for loading. Make sure that you get one. Let this be a lesson to you, right? If something that important, so obvious, oh, we would never forget the bridal bouquet. If that can happen, even when you have a system, if you don't have a system, make sure you get one, all right? We want to make sure we are being responsible on the loading in and loading out. Because I'm checking that, by the way, checking that itemized list when I'm on site as well to make sure everything has been placed. That's how you don't forget about little things like candles or cake flowers, things like that. They're on the list. Make sure they get packed. Make sure everything is done before you leave your venue, and you know that you've done the best job you can. All right? As always, keep doing beautiful work. Sorry I was late today for my live stream, but gosh, technology. I will not give up. I will see you again next Tuesday for another Q&A. Thanks for trusting me with your questions. Thanks for trusting my group with your questions. And I'll see you next time. Okay.